Hello everyone, the Nerdy Steve here, and today I will be featuring a black-red sacrifice deck in Explorer. The list is in the description below. I'm going to talk about the general plan of the deck, and then we'll play a couple of games. So, let's go. First, I just do want to say, I've been doing a lot of videos on a lot of different decks, and I recently did this deck about a couple of weeks ago. So, if you want to go watch that one, you can. But I figure it's going to be better to maybe repeat decks every now and then instead of going and playing and finding new decks that just might not be as good or as competitive. So let me know what you think, but I kind of like going back and revisiting stuff. Just, hey, the metagame changes or more games with popular decks are always good to watch. So anyway, this deck is a black-red sacrifice deck, and we're going to be using a lot of Mayhem Devil triggers, which is whenever a player sacrifices a permanent, Mayhem Devil deals 1 damage to any target. So with Mayhem Devil out on the battlefield, basically every other card in this deck has stuff that, it can sacrifice your cards or does or creates stuff that when it can make treasures that you sacrifice or finds you cards to sacrifice. So Mayhem Devil is a really, really integral and important part of this strategy. It's also symmetrical too. So against other opposing, sacrifice effects like from fetch lands, it also triggers off that, which is really, really good. But the general idea of this deck is we want to use Cauldron Familiar and Witch's Oven, along with Unlucky Witness and Priest of Forgotten Gods, to kind of stall the board early to give us some type of card advantage to eventually find a Mayhem Devil. And with Mayhem Devil and all these other, again, sacrifice effects, we're doing lots of damage to our opponent. We're killing very specific creatures so we can, win over time and then just win that way. But what I really like about this deck is Claim the Firstborn. I am right now finding there to be a lot of very aggressive creature-based strategies on the Explorer ladder, specifically Best of One. And Claim the Firstborn, stealing a creature so you gain control of it, so you can attack or do whatever, but then you get to sacrifice it for a Witch's Oven or a Deadly Dispute or a Priest of Forgotten Gods, and you're just getting not only a 1 mana removal, you're dealing damage with the attack you get, and it also then goes into your strategy of sacrificing things. And I think Claim the Firstborn is kind of like the best it's been in a really, really long time, so I would highly recommend this deck for that. And with all that being said, let's go play some games so you can actually look at some of the intricacies and gameplay of this deck. So this is a very, very good hand. We're going to Hive the Eye Tyrant on the first turn, so it's untapped. And then we're going to Witch's Oven. And we have the Witch's Oven Cauldron Familiar combo. And what this does... let me go back to that. Is I need to think about if I want to Alright, I'm going to get it Priest of Forgotten Gods here. If our opponent has interaction with it, we get to sacrifice it in response for food. So, we're fine. But what Witch's Oven and Cauldron Familiar does, for anyone who's unfamiliar, is that if Cauldron Familiar is on the battlefield, it can block a creature, right? And then, when it's blocked, you sacrifice it to Witch's Oven to make a food token. And then, with the food token on the battlefield, Cauldron Familiar can sacrifice it to come back into play, and you can repeat this process over and over again. And what that does is allows you to chump block almost eternally, right? Like one creature we just have blocked with Cauldron Familiar forever. And meanwhile, we are dealing 1 damage to our opponent and gaining life and just getting a lot of really, really cool things going on. What we're going to do here in response to the Goblin Chain Whirler is we're going to do 1 round of Cat Oven activations. And then we're going to activate the Priest, sacrificing 2 creatures that will die to the Goblin Chain Whirler. Ooh, do we want to... We get to kill the Denizen there, so our opponent has to sacrifice the Emissary. And, like, we're not that far out from any type of card event or anything. Like, we're in a really, really, really good spot. Because we also get to kill the Goblin Chain Whirler here for free. And that's what I'm going to do. We'll trade a treasure. We get to cast the Fable off that mana now. Wait, let me do... And then we can just say go. Now, it's unfortunate that we don't have a food that we can just keep right now link with our Cauldron Familiar and stuff, but we're fine. I'm gonna get rid of both of the Priests here. We have one on the battlefield, and I don't think it's really necessary at this current moment. But maybe it's better to just have more, but I'm okay right now. Alright. And we just had so much that it would have been really, really difficult for our opponent to get back in the game, so GG. Alright. We are going first, but we cannot cast any of our cards in our hand right now, so we have to mulligan. This is okay. I'm gonna... What do we get rid of? I'm gonna get rid of the Deadly Dispute here. I don't mind doing a Naked Cauldron Familiar here, but maybe we should keep it in our hand to discard for Fable. But right now, we have Cauldron Familiar on turn 1, Priest on turn 2, then Fable on turn 3, which means we can activate the Priest if we really, really need to. And that's kind of what we're setting up, or I'm setting up to do. I could imagine a world where you'd want to Priest on 2, then Fable on 3. Oh, but no, this is pretty good. Our deck is really, really good against any deck with a bunch of mana dorks and anything, because the Mayhem Devil can just randomly tear that apart. Alright. So it looks like our opponent is going to do something like that. And now we have to decide what we want to do. And this, I don't love it, but I think I want to get rid of our entire opponent's board instead of let them untap. So we're going to Mayhem Devil here. And then we're going to Priest of Forgotten Gods, sacrificing Mayhem Devil and Cauldron Familiar. We get 2 Mayhem Devil triggers, which are going to kill the Elvish Mystic. And then our opponent's going to have to sacrifice the Priest. There. And voila. I mean, that's probably, like, the right move regardless, because you just want... You don't want your opponent to get mana or even get a Priest active. So now we can Unlucky Witness. We're gonna sacrifice it for food. And to get a trigger from it. Woe Strider? So I'll do Takenuma and then Woe Strider here. We can wait to see what our opponent does. Because right now we're going to activate Priest, but it's like not my favorite thing. So what I'm going to do here is Cauldron Familiar in response to Kroxa. Because I don't want to have to discard the Fable of the Mirror Breaker if I don't have to. So we're going to activate Priest here, targeting our opponent, sacrificing a goat and Cauldron Familiar. Our opponent's going to lose a goat here. We draw a card. That's interesting. We're gonna get rid of the Fable because Witch's Oven is just gonna be really, really, really good here. With our Cauldron Familiar, being able to just loop it again increases our clock very, very much. Oh, that's a very aggressive attack by our opponent. There's not another card coming? Okay. And there was. Oh, beautiful. So, let's sack it for food. See what we're getting off the top. This was silly. I should have waited to cast the Witch's Oven, but... because we might need to cast something here. We're still in pre-combat, so it's fine. But look. We're gonna create 2 1/1s that are gonna attack. Opponent's at 9. We have the cat, which can come in, block, and then die again. And now the Chandra tokens work with Priest of Forgotten Gods, so like... our opponent's just in... oh, I didn't even... I didn't do that. Whoops. My bad. Our opponent's in a really rough spot.
Say hi to my... oh, they're so cute.
Should be at 8, though. Ooh, a Collected Company. This isn't good because our opponent could find Mayhem Devil. So what I need to do now is activate these, because if our opponent finds Mayhem Devil, we don't want to activate Priest of Gods after that, right? Our opponent should be at, what, 3 life? Oh god, and I pressed OK again. My bad. All the very, very small details will add up. So... that is unfortunate, but what are you gonna do? Hopefully it won't matter, but it very well might. I want to activate it before our opponent gets another... let's try.
Keep it up and you'll pay.
We don't want our opponent to get another Mayhem Devil. That'd be brutal for us. The thing is, I think even if our opponent does, we still might be okay, but I don't know. Oh, a cat and a priest? Ouch. GG. Okay. Woo. That was close. Alright. We do not have red mana, but we do have double Witch's Oven, which is... we have Witch's Oven, which is really, really important in this deck, but we can also Witch's Oven away a Deadly Dispute if we need to. And so that's part of the reason why I'm keeping, because I think that's a fine line. Instead of going to 6, the worst that can happen is, you know, we need to do that. Though, maybe we should have thought about seeing our opponent with Yorion as the commander, because that could be a little worrisome. Because it means our opponent is more likely not as aggressive. So our Claim the Firstborns aren't as powerful. But like right now, if our opponent doesn't do anything for a couple of turns, we're not in a great spot. Because we don't have a lot of pressure going down right now. The claim in our hand is not great. Our priest isn't great. Ooh, Narset. I don't want to have to, but I think I kind of want to Witch's Oven that away. Alright.
The focused and disciplined encounter no obstacles.
Let's see what our opponent does here. Another Narset. Okay. So, what I'm gonna do here is Fable. Then I'm gonna Claim the Firstborn, our Goblin Shaman. So it has haste. And then we get to attack the Narset.
I won't forget our time together.
No, I think I want to Cauldron Familiar away the Fable, potentially. I'm gonna keep it in my hand. This is also one of the matchups where I said this deck is probably better in a more aggressive metagame. And so it's not impossible to win these types of matchups, obviously, but it's not easy. Because a lot of our, like, claims, you know, they're not as good. We do not want to Fable with the Narset out on the battlefield. That just makes everyone want to cry. So we'll do that.
You are a mighty warrior. I concede.
We could have Mayhem Deviled, actually, if we really wanted to, and maybe dealt a lot of damage. Supreme Verdict. So I'm just gonna get rid of that. We needed to maybe draw slightly more relevant cards than all these lands. Need to hope our opponent can't kill the Reflection.
I know what must be done. No time for a break.
Let's see what our opponent's gonna do here. Black.
Enough.
Means we get to kill the Teferi here, right?
No more games. You're not going to win this. I won't let you win.
All right.
I'll have a better
Go.
plan next time.
Another Supreme Verdict would be bad. Ouch. Of course, right? Because the problem here, again, is our opponent's literally at 18 life. They're the control deck with everything going on. And all the time in the world. Okay.
I know 88 ways to defeat.
Can you fail to find?
With thoughtfulness before action.
Please. Another Narset. I mean, if our opponent has the Wandering Emperor, we cannot afford to just not do anything here. Okay. I'm so fine with that.
I have just the trick for this.
Oh, now we know our opponent has it, so we can't really force them to have it. That it's just very, very bad. Woe Strider. On the other hand, so what we can do, right, is Deadly Dispute the Goat, and the trigger from the Mayhem Devil will kill the Narset before we draw.
This was overwhelming.
Have that. And we don't do anything here. Do we have any lands on the bottom? Memory Deluge. Ouch. What are we hoping to get here? This is a very, very difficult game. It started off very, very poorly, and our opponent literally has everything going on. Farewell? Fudge. We needed that to not happen. Is Chandra even good? Maybe it's not the worst. I don't think it's gonna be that good against Narset, but, you know, maybe we just don't have a choice? About what we're doing here. The Wandering Emperor.
Now you've
Oh.
done it. Hats come off.
That
We must protect the people. We can do this together.
I should have thought about our opponent playing the Wandering Emperor instead of the Narset. That was a mistake.
Keep watch for intruders.
Oh, and Teferi, yeah. We're just getting absolutely destroyed here, and that's fine.
You can win.
Third from the top, yeah.
Let's
Okay.
take it back a step.
Then our opponent can Yori and everything, if that's what really is wanted and needed. But we also literally have the same amount of lands as our opponent. So with that, we'll just go GG. Thank you for watching me play some Rakdos, Sack, and Explorer. I love this deck. Anyone who knows me or has seen me play knows I love these types of decks. And I hope at least the video was a little educational. Maybe you did learn some stuff going on there. That last game, again, it's not our ideal matchup, but we definitely could have won if we just drew a little better earlier on. But I also do think in best of one, facing blue-white control is, you know, not the most common thing. But if, like, that is something you were seeing, maybe shifting from, black-red sack to, black-red mid-range would be the option there. But regardless, this deck is fantastic. You always have a chance with how your cards come up. Mayhem Devil and Cat Oven are just a really, really, really powerful thing to be doing. And yeah, I would highly recommend it. And I hope maybe, you learn some things, even though I do this type of deck fairly often. Also, let me know if you do or do not mind watching repeated decks within a format. I think it's fine, because as long as I don't do them, like, back to back. But let me know. And you know what? You could do that while also liking, you would be commenting, or subscribing to the channel. And if you haven't already, you should follow me at twitch.tv/thenerdysteve, where I stream live, and you can talk and interact with me there. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. And thanks for watching. Bye.